Alright, so radical equations and inequations. So the first question, solve for x given that square root of x is equal to square root of 2x minus 1 plus 2. So this is the equation that we have, solve for x. Now, how do we solve for x for a radical equation like this one? Where you have got more than one radical, make sure that the two radicals are on opposite sides, like they shouldn't be on the same side of the equation, unless if you have got three radicals, then you have no choice. Now in a case like this one, just the way they've given it, now what I want to do is the 2, which is a constant, should be with the radical which is much simpler, so that the radical which is a bit complex should be alone. So this is going to be square root of x, and then the 2, I would take it to the other side, becomes negative 2, and that is going to be equal to square root of 2x minus 1. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides of the equation. So we'll square this side to kill the root. Now please, never square these two individually. Never do that. Never do that. These two are on the same side of the equation. So if you want to square them, put them together in the brackets and then put a square there. If you don't do that, you are going to get it wrong. Okay, you know that when you have got a minus b squared, you are going to write it twice, a minus b, again a minus b. This will give you the same thing, or you just get this a, you square it, okay? Then you get this power 2, you multiply with this one, you also multiply with this one. So you are going to get, that is going to give you negative 2ab. And then you get the second thing here, you square it. So that is going to be b squared. This is how you expand. So same way with this one, I'm going to get the first thing, which is here, I square it. That is going to be square root of x squared. And then I'll get these 2, multiply with the root of x, multiply with the negative 2. That is going to be negative 4 root of x. And then I'll get the negative 2, I square it. That is going to be positive 4. And that is going to be equal to, if we square this side, the root, let me just write it first like that, root of 2x minus 1 squared. That is what we're going to have. Please, if you have a question anywhere, don't wait until we've moved for you to ask. You can ask there and then. So this square and this root, they are going to cancel. So I'm just going to remain with x, then minus 4 square root of x plus a 4. And that is going to be this root and the square, they also cancel, are going to have 2x minus 1. So now at this point, anything that doesn't have a root, I'm going to take it on one side. So I'm going to remain with negative 4 square root of x is equal to, I'm going to take this x the other side, it will become negative x. So it will find 2x. So 2x minus the x that is coming, that will just be x. And then this 4 also goes the other side to become negative 4. So negative 1 minus the 4 which is coming to be negative 5. From here, again square for a second time to do away with the root. So I'm going to square this, and same this side, don't square them individually. If you do that, you risk your marks. So negative 4 squared, that is going to be positive 16. And then root of x squared, that is going to be just x. And that is going to be equal to, also square this side, get the first one you square, that will be x squared, and then get 2 multiply by this, multiply also by this. So 2 times x is 2x times negative 5, that will be negative 10x. And then get the negative 5, you also square it again, it is going to give you positive 25. Then take all the terms the other side. So I'm going to take also this one the other side. So I'm going to remain with the 0 this side, and that is going to be equal to x squared. So this 16, if it goes the other side, becomes negative. It to find the negative 10. Negative 10x minus 16x, that would be negative 26x. And then plus 25. So what we have is a quadratic here. The product is 25. And then the sum is negative 26. So we want two numbers which we can multiply to get 25. When we add, we get negative 26. That is negative 25 and negative 1. Okay, so this will become 0 is equal to, when we factorize, going to say x squared minus x minus 25x plus 25, like that. So we factorize, we're going to get x minus 25, and then x minus 1 is equal to 0. Find the value of x. X is going to be equal to 25, or x is going to be equal to positive 1. Now for a radical function, when you find these values, you need to check, because sometimes they might not be solutions. So check when x is equal to 25. Go in the actual function. Where there is x, substitute, okay, 25. So that is going to be square root of 25 is equal to square root of 2 multiplied by 25, that is a 50, minus 1 plus 2. Square root of 25, we know that is a 5, right? And that is going to be equal to 50 minus 1 is a 49. Anyone to help me? What is the square root of 49? Jacob? Square root of 49. Martha, what's the square root of 49? Okay, that is a 7. And then plus 2. Now here, 5 is equal to 9. Is this true? Is 5 equal to 9? That means that 25 is not a solution. Okay? And then you are going to check also x is equal to 1. So go in the function, that is going to be square root of 1 is equal to square root. You put also 1 here. 2 times 1, that will be 1, minus 1, that is going to be 1. And then plus 2. So square root of 1 is a 1. That is going to be equal to square root of 1 is a 1 plus 2. That is going to give you 3. Is this true also? No. So you have seen that both answers that we have found are not solutions, meaning that the solution set for this radical function is an empty set. Okay, there are no solutions, it's an empty set. So that means that for this question, if you don't state this last thing, then you've gotten it wrong. You just say x is equal to 25 or x is equal to 1, then you've gotten it wrong, because there are no solutions. Do we have a question? That's why I've written here check, check. You Yes. Alright, so we can look at another question. So please, for radical functions, always check the solutions you have found. Always. Okay, the next one we've been asked to solve for x, given that square root of 3 plus 2x plus square root of 2 minus 2x is equal to 3. We want to solve for x. So what I'm going to do again, since we have got two roots on the same side, I want one root to go the other side so that I just remain with one. Now for this one, there's nothing that is a bit simpler. So anything that I want to remain with the other side is okay. So that would be 3. I take this other root, it becomes negative root of 2 minus 2x. And then from here, square both sides. Don't square these which are 2 individually. Square them together. So this root and the square, they'll cancel, will remain with 3 plus 2x. And that is going to be equal to, here when you are squaring, get the first one, you square it, that will give you 9, right? And then get the power 2 multiplied by 3 to give you 6, and then multiply by this negative root, that is going to give you negative 6, and then root of 2 minus 2x. And then get this root, you square it. So that to be plus. The root and the square, they'll cancel. What will just remain is what is inside, 2 minus 2x. And then from here, anything that is a number, take it the other side. Root, take also the other side. So I'll get this root, I take it the other side. It becomes positive 6 square root of 2 minus 2x. And that is going to be equal to, here we've got 9. And then I'll remove the brackets for this one. We have got, that's a positive 2 minus 2x. And then I'll get this, take it the other side. It becomes negative 3 and then negative 2x. So what we are going to have is 6 square root of 2 minus 2x being equal to negative 2x minus 2x. That is going to give us negative 4x. So here what I'm going to do is 2 plus 9, 11 minus 3 is that 8. Okay, so that is 8. And then negative 2x minus 2x, that is going to give us negative 4x. At this point, square again to remove the root. So what we are going to have is 6 squared is a 36. And then the root is squared. You just remain with what is inside the root. That is 2 minus 2x. Like that. And that is going to be equal to, here 8 squared, it is going to be 64. And then 2 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 4, that is the same as 2 multiplied by 4, which is 8. And then 8 times 8 is still 64. So that is going to be negative 64x. And then 4 squared, that is going to give us positive 16x. And then I'll multiply 36 times 2. What do we get? 36 times 2. 72. This is going to be 72 minus 72x is equal to 64 minus 64x and then plus 16x. And then what I'm going to, we don't have anything that, oh, that other one is supposed to be squared. That means you people are not following. If we square this, it will be 16x squared. So I'm going to now take everything to the same side. So I'll start writing first the 16x squared. If I take the 72, it goes this side, it will become positive. So I'm going to have positive 72, and then you have x, and then negative 64x. So those are going to subtract. I'll remove a 1 from here, it remains a 6, we put there. So for 12 minus 4, that is 8. Okay, so the answer is going to be positive 8. If we take 72 this side, that is going to give us positive 8x. And then this 72 also goes this side. 64, this one now is positive. And then you take 72, it will become negative because it's positive. So it will be 64 minus 72. Now because we're subtracting a bigger number from a smaller number, the answer is going to be negative 8. And that is going to be equal to 0. From here you can divide through by 8. 8 into 16, that is going to be 2x squared. 8 into 8x, that will be x. 8 into 8, 1 is equal to 0. So here the product is negative 2. The sum is a positive 1. So what are the factors? Martha, what are the factors we are going to have for this one? Okay, so the two numbers we're going to need to multiply to get negative 2. When we add, we get positive 1. We're going to use 2 and then negative 1. So this is going to become 2x squared plus 2x minus x minus 1 is equal to 0. Factorize out the first two. Are going to have 2x open brackets x plus 1. And then the last we're going to have negative 1 and then x plus 1 equal to 0. So this is going to be 2x minus 1 x plus 1 is equal to 0. So if you equate this one to 0, you are going to find that x is 1 over 2. If you equate the other one to 0, you're going to find that x is equal to negative 1. So these are the values of x. And then let's check. So when x is positive, positive 1 over 2, let's go and put in this function. Where there's x, I put positive 1 over 2. And you know that 2 multiplied by half, that will give you a what? A 1, right? And then you're going to have square root 3 plus 1, that is going to give us a 4. Okay? And then plus, we put here also. If we put there a half, we'll still get what? 1. 2 times half is 1. Now that will be 2 minus 1, which is a 1. So we're going to have square root of 1. This is supposed to be equal to 3. We know square root of 4 is a 2. Square root of 1 is a 1. 2 plus 1 is a 3. So 3 is equal to 3. Meaning that this is a solution. And let's check x is equal to negative 1. You come and put here negative 1. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 3 minus 2 is a 1. So this will give us square root of 1. Okay. Plus, we put negative 1 here. 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. So that will be positive 2 plus 2, which is a 4. That is going to be square root of 4. That is supposed to be equal to 3. We know square root of 4 is a 1. Okay? And I mean it's a 2. And then square root of 1 is a 1. 1 plus 2 is a 3. Meaning that this is also a solution. So for this one, solution set is going to be equal to negative 1 comma 1 over 2. Meaning that both answers are solutions for this question. Do you have anyone who is left behind? Anyone who is left behind? Okay, so the next one we have is saying solve the inequality. The first one we have is solve the inequality square root of negative x squared plus 4x plus 21 is greater than or equal to 9. So this is the inequality that we want to solve. Now to be able to solve this inequality, first thing first, we have to do away with the root. Okay, so I'm going to square both sides. So if I square this side, the root is going to go. So we remain with negative x squared plus 4x plus 21 being greater than or equal to 9 squared is 81. I'm going to take all the terms on one side. I'll take this 81 this side. So it will be negative x squared positive 4x. So it will be, if the 81 goes this side, it will be negative. So it will be 21 minus 81. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus 8 is a negative 6. So that will be negative 60, and that is greater than or equal to 0. From here, we need also to find the product and the sum. So the product, you multiply the negative 1 by the negative 60. So the product here is positive 60. And then the sum, you just get a number with x. So that is 4. So now look for the factors. You multiply to get 60. When you add, you get 4. So all you do first is get 60. Look at numbers that you can multiply to get 60. So you can start 2 and 30, they will give you 60. Okay. 3 and 20, they will give you 60. What of 4? 4 and what? What number can you multiply with 4 to get 60? In other words, how many times can 4 go into 60? Okay, so it is 4 and 15. You can also use 6 and 10. So from these factors, the one which is going to give us a 4 when we add or subtract is the one we're supposed to use. Of course, this one can give us a 4 when you subtract. But notice that when you do the subtraction, you have to make 6 what? Negative. And then if you multiply negative 6 times 10, you will not get positive 60. That means that you can't use that also. Okay, if we try, let's try to use 8. 8 cannot go into 60, 7 cannot go into 60, 9 cannot go into. For what? Okay, the quadratic formula. Alright, so since we can't see any factors here, that's the one who opt to use. Okay, so we'll get to use that one. Let me say x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So this will be negative b is 4 plus or minus square root b squared, b is 4 squared, minus 4a is negative 1, c is negative 60. So this one, the discriminant will give us a negative number, meaning that there are no solutions. There are no solutions for the inequality. Because if you say 4 squared is a positive 16, right? It's negative and this negative will be positive times this negative, it gives you again negative. So there will be no value. There will be no solution. That is why also the product is refusing. So maybe this was supposed to be a negative there, or it was a mistake here. This one was supposed to be negative. I don't know. Whatsoever was supposed to be there for the question. So these two factors, the only way is we can take it like this. Let me make this positive because we cannot find any factors, and even if you use the quadratic form you will not get any values. Okay, let me use the positive so that the sum is going to be negative 60, and I mean the product is going to be negative 60, the sum is still positive 4. So we can use 6 and 10, meaning that we're going to use negative 6 and positive 10. So we're going to say x minus 6 and then x plus 10 is equal to 0. So this is going to be it. And then equate to 0, it will give you that x is equal to 6 or x is equal to negative 10. Now remember, this is equal to. Now this one is not an equation. It is what? An inequation. So it is actually supposed to be greater than or equal to. So what we have found are critical points. Now we need to find the range of values because in an inequation. So those two values are found. I'm going to get them. The first one, we have got negative 10 and then we have got positive 6. Okay, so the two factors which we equated to 0, we have got this one, x minus 6. We also have x plus 10. Now remember, those are multiplying, so I'm going to find their product. So when I equated x minus 6 to 0, I found positive 6. If I use a value of x above 6, like a 7 I put here, to be positive. So meaning that immediately I cross 6, the values of x I'm going to find if I substitute here will be negative. For example, you can use a negative 5, negative 1 you put here to be negative. When I equated x plus 10 to 0, I found negative 10. If I use the value of x greater than 10, for example, negative 10 for example is 0, I put here to be positive. And then as long as I cross the negative 10 to give me negative. Negative times negative, it is going to be positive. Positive, negative, negative. Positive, positive, positive. And for this function, we want where it is greater than or equal to 0. Meaning that it is here going in this direction and also here going in this direction. Okay? So meaning that the solution set for this function is supposed to be from negative infinity. Yes. Which signs? No, I didn't change. I just said let me use this as positive because if negative, you'll not find any solution. So since it's greater than or equal to, this is the solution. These are going to be the solutions. Now for this one, you also need to look at the domain. Okay? Like the domain of this function which is here. You need also to look at it. So you get what is inside there. The x squared plus 4x plus 21. We said what is inside the root should always be positive. You can't have what is inside the root being negative. So this should be greater than or equal to 0 like that. So when you get to solve this one, uh, you're going to find what? The product is 21, the sum is 4. Again, for this one, you will not be able to solve it. B squared minus 4ac. So we'll also not be able to solve it like this unless we attach a negative here. So I just don't know what is wrong with this question. If you use the actual one which was given, it will fail. But for radical inequations, the thing is that when you have found this solution, don't rush to conclude it's the answer. Also look at the domain of this function. Okay, look at the domain. For example, the way it is like this, the product is going to be negative 21, the sum is positive 4. You look at the factor, so just 21, you can have 3 and 7. Okay, 3 and 7 as a product. So we want a sum which is positive 4. I attach a negative here, so mean that this one I could say negative x squared minus 3x plus 7x plus 21 greater than or equal to 0. So this will give us negative x open brackets x plus 3 and then positive 7 x plus 3 greater than or equal to 0. So this will give us negative x plus 7 and then x plus 3 greater than or equal to 0. So if you take 7 the other side, we're going to get that x is going to be equal to positive 7 or x is going to be equal to negative 3. You also need to find the what we are finding is the domain. So again, I'll write a comma table so I can remove this then. So the values that we found, we have got negative 3 and positive 7. The factors that we equated to 0 for us to be able to find those, we have got negative x plus 7, then we have got x plus 3. And they are also multiplying as we're able to see, so we're going to find their product. When we equated negative x plus 7 to 0, we found positive 7, meaning if I get to use any value of x greater than 7, the answer is going to be negative. Sorry, it's here. Negative. Why? Like consider 8. I put here to become negative 8 plus 7, that to be negative. Immediately I close 7 to be positive. When I equated x plus 3 to 0, I found negative 3. If I use any value of x greater than negative 3, like a negative 2, 0, it will be positive. Meaning that when I cross negative 3 to be negative, negative, positive, negative, and then positive, and then negative. Meaning that the domain of this function, the domain can only, like you can only use something positive in the root. So it is going to be between this and this is greater than or equal to. So you also include this. That's a domain. Meaning that when you want to find the solution now for the inequality, yes, please, there's a question. Mm-hmm. No, there's nothing to change. So the way it is like that, you found the domain is from negative 3 up to 7. And then now look at the solutions which you found. You have got 6 to infinity, and then you have got negative 10 to infinity. Now please, this one I've used two different equations. I'm just giving an example. Finding these solutions, I use the negative here. And then solving this equation, I use the positive there. So I'm not saying that is how it's going to be for this one because I changed the equation. So when you find now, for you to give the final solution, you are going to look at the domain of the function and the solutions you have found. Okay, the solutions you found. They should intersect where the domain intersects with the solutions you found. That will be the solution. So you can see here, that is where they intersect. Mean that the solution, if it were like that, would be between 6 and 7. So that would be the solution of the inequality. So you look at the intersection of the domain and the inequality itself. So that is how you solve modulus inequalities. Do we have a question? Any question?